Hello team and welcome back to the channel. So this is day 1 of 30 days of DevOps. Okay. So before starting the video, small request, please subscribe to the channel. We upload videos on daily basis at 9 a.m. in the morning. And also we have started a series of 30 days of DevOps where we'll be covering complete DevOps from scratch so that we can start giving interviews and also qualify them. Okay. Okay, now let's start the main part. Okay. So first thing that I want to start is what exactly is DevOps. Okay, so when we speak about DevOps, it's basically made up of two words. Okay, development and operations. Okay, so that means like DevOps is made up of two different sort of tasks. Okay, so these two different sort of tasks are performed by two teams. So one team we have is development team, whose task is to write the source code of the application. Okay, and the operations team, which we are basically. So what we do in operations is we build the application, we do test, run test cases, we do testing. Okay, then we also run security analysis. Okay, if you are a part of DevSecOps, then it's like you are also running security analysis and keeping everything secure. Okay, and finally deploying the application. Okay, deployment of application. And one last thing, like even after like application is deployed successfully, after deployment we even manage or monitor the application so that it works fine. Okay, it does not crash or something. Okay, so DevOps is basically combination of task of these two teams, development teams whose task is to write the application source code, and operations team whose task I have mentioned, building, testing, security analysis, deployment, monitoring or managing. Okay, so this combination of these two tasks is DevOps. Okay, but in simple words, if you want to just remember or if you want to just make someone understand what is exactly is DevOps, you can just say code to prod. Okay, and I think you can even see what exactly it means. Coding to production, the whole process from coding to production is DevOps. Okay, side by side following the best practices and making everything efficient, it's like DevOps. Okay, okay, now coming the question is like how DevOps is beneficial and how we can use it in our application building and deployment process. Okay, so to adapt or adopt the DevOps process in our application building, what we can do, we can use CI and CD. Okay, CI and CD. Now the question is, what exactly is CI and CD? So CI and CD is a process that we can follow while creating our application. Okay, to make sure that everything goes smoothly, and that means if you are using CI and CD, that means that we are following the DevOps process and making everything smooth. Okay, now question is, what exactly is CI and CD? So CI basically stands for continuous spelling, one second, sorry about this, continuous, okay, integration. If spelling is wrong, just don't mind. Okay, okay, so let's talk about first CI. What exactly is CI? CI is continuous integration. So when we say continuous integration, what exactly it means? Okay, so in simple words, if I try to make you understand, continuous integration means that multiple commits or multiple changes that is being done by different developers can be integrated in the shared repository without affecting the live application or the production environment. Okay, just to make you understand, let me give you an example. Okay, so let's say that I have this application, to do app. Okay, and there are multiple people working on it. Okay, and you can see multiple, let's say that we just have one branch now, main branch. Okay, main branch is the production branch, or you can say the branch that we are using to deploy on the production server. Okay, so we have deployed our application using main branch. Okay, now I have a requirement, client says I have 3 features that I want to add in our application. Okay, client said 3 features need to be added. So what I did, instead of giving that to just one developer, I said I got 3 developers and told them ki these are one features that you each need to work on, and these features needs to be added in our application. Okay, so what they did, these developers, they using this main branch, they created a copy of main source code. Okay, production source code, they created a copy and they created a 3 branches: feature 1, feature 2, feature 3. Okay, so as of now, feature 1, feature 2, feature 3 branch, they all 3 of them have the same source code. Okay, and each branch belongs to one developer. Okay, so 3 developers. Now each developer started working on it. Okay, on each branch, and let's say all of them have written the source code for different features. Okay, and commit into them. Okay, now if we are using a CI tool basically for building an application, for example Jenkins, then at the same time these developers or like operations team, they created pipelines, okay, for each branch. So that means that using Jenkins there were 3 pipelines created: feature 1 pipeline, feature 2 pipeline, and a feature 3 pipeline using the branches. Okay, so that means like every time a developer, like let's say feature 1 developer committed something, his source code is complete and he has committed his code inside feature 1 branch. Okay, then someone from operations team, they can start the pipeline. That means that feature, whatever code has been added, we can test it, we build it and deploy it to a temporary server, like development server. Okay, and we can see if it is working or not. If it is working, then fine. If not, then developer will again make the changes. Similarly, at the same time, what will happen, all 3 branches which are having different features, just newly added features, can be like tested at the same time. Okay, so once these 3 features are tested and everything done, then we can combine the changes in these branches and push the changes to our main branch. Okay, so you see, like for adding 3 branches, so like lots of time has been saved. Why? Because 3 developers were working, and like the building or testing of that features we added, we were testing at the same time. Okay, because we were having 3 pipelines and 3 branches. Okay, so you see what is happening, what exactly is happening here is that different features, different code can be integrated into the shared repository without affecting others. Okay, that means like one developer can test easily his own code, second developer tests his code easily without affecting the other developers, right? So in this way, what we did, we just like made changes and integrated them without like affecting others. Okay, so this whole process where we are like committing multiple changes to the shared repository without affecting others, that is like this whole process is continuous integration. Okay, I think you got the point, right? Okay, now just to make you understand what exactly are the processes in CI. Okay, so that also let me just share with you. So let's say first developer is doing commit. Okay, code commit, they are making the changes inside the repository. Okay, then operations team will build that application to check if the changes are fine or not. Okay, then if you are using any CI tool like Jenkins or any other, then they are like basically configured so to run the build automatically. Okay, so next what happened, automation build. Okay, then once the build is successful, the results will be reported. Okay, everything is running fine. Okay, that means with using continuous integration, within very less time we will be able to create the changes and merge them into one. Okay, so this whole process is CI. Okay, now coming to CD. Okay, so CD basically stands for continuous development. Deployment. Okay, now when we talk about continuous deployment, what exactly is continuous deployment? So in CI, like we have done all the changes, we have seen they are working fine. Now to make sure that these changes are like gone to or like deployed to the production server, we need to deploy them. Okay, but but before deploying them to the production server, we need to deploy this to a different server. So server or like environment, I should say. So let me explain you how many environments are there basically. Okay, dev, QA, PPD, prod, then we have DR. Okay, and these are the general environments, like 5 environments usually several companies have. Okay, so let me explain you what are these environments. Okay, first is dev environment, which is the lowest environment, like where basically like first deployment is done on this. Okay, so when developers have done the changes and committed the changes, so build and everything is done, then first deployment they will do on dev server to see if it is running fine or not. Okay, once it is fine, then what we do, we do the deployment to QA. Now what exactly is QA? QA is also a different environment, which stands for quality assurance environment. Okay, so quality assurance environment is basically, you can say, testing environment. Okay, so whatever test cases we have, whatever testing we have, that we will be doing inside QA environment. Okay, then we have PPD environment. PPD environment basically, you can say, pre-release or just a lower version of prod environment. So PPD is basically it contains similar environment as prod. Okay, and prod is our main environment, which is in which we deploy so that the application run live. Okay, then we have one of the most important environment, which is DR. DR basically means disaster recovery. So whenever if there is an issue with prod environment, we can roll back, or we can use the DR environment for deployment, so that our application runs fine all the time. Okay, so now talking about what are the different processes in continuous deployment. Also, continuous deployment, when we speak about continuous deployment, there are 2 things inside CD. One is continuous delivery, one is continuous deployment. Okay, so when we are completely automating the deployment, that is continuous deployment. But when there is a partial manual effort is needed, for example like pushing a button for deployment, then that is continuous delivery. Okay, now talking about what are the process inside continuous deployment or CD. Okay, so first is obviously deployment pipeline. Okay, so first we have deployment pipeline, for deploying the changes to our server. Okay, then basically we have automated deployment. Okay, that means we can automate also everything. Okay, next we have testing. So whatever changes have been done, we need in deployment process, in a deployment pipeline, we'll be running testing also, so that we can see everything is fine or not. Okay, and then we have release and rollback. 1 second, let me write it next line. Release, rollback. That means if anything goes back, or if you want to roll back to the previous version, we can do that as well. Okay, so once application is deployed, next thing what we should be doing is basically monitoring if application is running fine or not. Okay, so these are some of the common process inside CD or continuous deployment. Okay, now I think you understood what exactly is CI and CD. Okay, now what I want to show you is how DevOps benefits or gives you makes your project efficient. Okay, for the whole project building life cycle, it becomes efficient. How? So that let me show you. Okay team, so now coming to the part where how exactly DevOps benefits when we follow the DevOps process. Okay, so let's say that we are following the DevOps process and how it helps. So see, if you just I told you in CI part, multiple changes can be integrated with the source code without affecting the main application that is running live on production. Okay, so this, first of all, what it does, it saves a lot of time. Okay, it saves a lot of time. That means we are going to save a lot of time in bringing the application to market. Okay, so following DevOps, first of all, we can save a lot of time. Okay, then what will happen, another thing that that is that comes with DevOps is early bug detection. Okay, how it happens, because like whenever we are adding new features, and after that when we run the pipeline, in pipeline also we have added different security tools for finding out the bugs or vulnerabilities or any other issues. So every time we run, like we can like figure out if there is a bug, and if any a single bug or double bug, anything. Like every time we run the build, we can find out. And for example, SonarQube is one of the code quality check tool, which is also used for finding out bugs in our source code. Okay, so also like as SonarQube basically highlights the section in code where bug is there. Okay, that means every time we run, we will get the report that okay, here is the bug, we can fix it, then again we will run the analysis. That means in early stages only we can find out if there is a bug in our source code or not. Okay, then what happens? Increased collaboration. Okay, basically increase let me write it, collaboration. Yeah, so increased collaboration between not only operations team members but also with development team members. You know, like whatever code changes is coming, it's coming from development team members. Okay, so in that way we are also getting notified, okay, these changes have been come, and these both the teams, they are working together. Okay, even the other, like we are continuously communicating and collaborating with development team members as well as operations team members. Okay, and you know, like in corporate side, if you are working in a project, the collaboration and communication, it's really important for making everything efficient as well as smooth. Okay, so with DevOps, it becomes like one of the mandatory thing, that a proper communication and collaboration is done. And obviously it is getting happen because sometimes we get notified, okay, this code is there, we need to run. Okay, so that also comes. Then improve quality we have. Okay, and obviously if we are like continuously doing testing, continuously checking our source code, and we have 5 different environments where we are deploying the applications. Okay, so it's while the application is when the application is deploying to the live server or the production server, it won't be having any issues, because testing multiple times we have done, we have found out all the bugs that may exist. Okay, and we have fixed everything before deploying to production server. Okay, that means obviously the application that we are going to deploy, or the website we are going to deploy, is of very like improved quality. Okay, and then again we have the I should say agility. Okay, and flexibility. Okay, so sorry about the spelling mistake. Okay, see, basically what it means, that since we are able to apply and deploy changes very like in less number of time. That means let's say our application is already running in market, and there are new changes coming or new requirements coming in market. So our company, we can easily adapt to it, and we can work very easily to make those changes like in our applications. Okay, that means we can like we are like in sync with current scenario, whatever is running in market. Okay, so whatever new feature is coming, we are already updated with everything. So we got to know, okay, new features are coming that are in market. So we can like ask our developers, multiple developers, okay, each one of you can get started on this feature and start testing it and deploying it to lower environment like QA and dev environments. Okay, so everything goes fine, then finally in a very efficient way and in a very less time, we can deploy the changes to our production server, which is the server on which our live application is running and accessible to clients also, clients or customers. Okay, so these are the main benefits of like DevOps, following the DevOps flow for building and deploying applications. Okay, so this whole thing is actually DevOps, and I think you understood now what exactly is DevOps, what is CI/CD, what is different environments. Basically, I just wanted to share this in different environments with you. The reason I shared is because like in interviews they will ask how many environments are there in your project, so you can explain. Once again, let me just explain to you. Dev environment is the lowest environment, or the first environment on which deployment happens. Okay, that is the initial just to check if everything is fine. Okay, then we have QA environment, which is basically the testing environment. We run test cases and see if test cases are also running fine, okay, along with the application. Then we have PPD, or pre-production or pre-release, you can say, which basically mimics or like similar to the production environment. So after QA, we deploy application to PPD to check if the environment which is similar to production application is running fine or not. Finally, we deploy the application to production server, which is the main server or environment on which is like we can say live environment, which is accessible to clients, and they are like using the application there. Okay, and finally we have DR, which is short for disaster recovery. So if something goes wrong in our production server, we can use disaster recovery server for the deployment, so that our the application is always live and working fine. Okay team, so before finishing the session, I want to share some of the interview questions which may be asked to you. Okay, in case you are fresher, the first thing that they will ask is what exactly is DevOps, then what is CI and what is CD. Okay, so DevOps, you can just you can explain that DevOps is not a tool or technology, it's a way, it's a process which we follow along with best practices to build our application and deploy it to a production server. In between, we will be doing different steps like building the application, then performing testing, then running different security analysis, these kind of things. And finally, when we deploy the application to production server, this whole process is DevOps. Okay, then for CI, which is continuous integration, means that multiple developers can push their changes or commit their changes in the shared repository of the application without causing issues or without affecting any other developer or the repository or the source code. Okay, then we have CD is basically the process of deploying the application to different environments. If they ask like how many environments were in your project, you can mention 5 environments we are having: dev environment, QA, PPD, prod and DR. I already explained what these environments are for. Okay, so those you can explain. You make sure to mention one more thing in CD, that CD is not just deployment, but also like when after deployment we manage the application and monitor it to make sure that it is running fine. Okay, so that also comes in CD. Okay, CD also is like of two types: continuous deployment and continuous delivery. When the whole process is completely automated, then that is continuous deployment. But when a partial manual effort is required by a DevOps engineer, for example, like for deploying, someone pushes a button or someone triggers something, then that is continuous delivery. Okay, so in this way you can explain to interviewer what is DevOps and what is CI and CD. Okay, then one more thing they may ask, like what is the benefits of using DevOps in your project. Okay, that also you can mention that first of all, there is like it saves a lot of time, proper efficiency is maintained. How efficiency is maintained? Because we are following the best practices while building and deploying the applications. Then we are in sync with the demands of new features or whatever is coming in the market. Okay, that you can mention. Then you can say increased collaboration, which is basically multiple teams. We are collaborating with development team and as well as team members from operations. We are collaborating with them and communication is maintained on a good level, and then we are doing work. Okay, then we have improved quality. We are running test cases on multiple levels and deploying applications in multiple environments. That is why we have a better and improved quality of the application. Finally, also like we have early bug detection. Why? Because we are running different security analysis on our like pipeline or like application building process, so that we can detect the bugs or any other issues in source code at early stages only. Okay, so these are the most common things that may be asked to you, even if you are fresher or experienced. So they may ask about this in your DevOps. Okay, so let's see you in the next session.